Hi there, I'm Woolly Wormhead and welcome to my channel. In today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how to convert a wrap and turn into a German short row and vice versa. That might sound like a bit of trickery, so let me explain a couple of things first. A short row is a kind of shaping technique. It is a shaping technique. What it means is that you are working an incomplete row and you will turn and go back to create a wedge of some kind. All right. And the short row techniques that we refer to, like German short row and wrap and turn, etc., are what we do to avoid any holes in our knitting and to help that short row kind of just sit really nice and snugly into our knitting. So the wrap and turn isn't the whole short row, and German short row isn't the whole short row. It's the technique that we do at the end of the short row to finish it off and make sure that our knitting looks lovely and neat, etc. Right. So there are similarities between a German short row and a wrap and turn, and this is one thing that I really love to teach when I have a class that I run quite regularly that compares a wrap and turn and German short row, and their different uses, their upsides, their downsides, but also their similarities. And their similarities happen when you take them apart. Right, it's kind of cool and it's really magic. So I'm going to do that in this tutorial for you today. But what I'm also going to do, I've got two swatches. They're both in guard stitch. I'm going to demo on guard stitch because that's the easiest thing for me to show you on. I'm going to work a wrap and turn and show you what it looks like and what happens when we undo it. I'm also going to work a German short row and show you how we make it and what happens when we undo it. And then I'm going to undo them again and rebuild them and turn them into each other. Right, it is fun. It's cool. So let me switch the overhead and I'm going to bring in the first swatch and I'll start with doing the wrap and turn method, showing you what it looks like, and then we'll go from there. All right. Okay, so here's a swatch that I've got prepared in garter stitch. It's in a kind of autumnal golden browny hand-dyed yarn, and I've got a pale grey yarn that I'm going to work the short row in because using a contrasting yarn helps show you what the short row is doing, especially the mechanism that we're using to create the short rowed stitch. So I'm going to keep this nice and short on the knitting so we're not sitting here watching me knit for ages. We're going to K5. All right, we're going to do a K5 short row. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So with an instruction like K5 short row, let me just tighten up those selvage stitches so it doesn't come undone. We're going to put the short row on the 6th stitch. Now, the thing to remember when we work in a wrap and turn is where do we want our yarn to be when we are working the return row? Because what we don't want to do is end up wrapping the yarn forward, then back and forward and back because it makes it messy. Now, when we work a return row and garter stitch, it's going to be all knit stitches, which means we want the yarn on the back, which means that when we do a wrap and turn and garter stitch, we actually don't need to bring the yarn forward, right? Simply slipping the stitch and then bringing the yarn forward afterwards. So we don't bring it forward first, we bring it forward after we slip. And we turn, we slip that stitch back, and then we knit to the end. Now, whether you turn before or after you slip is a preference. I do it before I slip because it stops my knitting getting messy. But you can turn before you slip if you want to. We're going to knit to the end. Now, let's see if we can get that nice and clear on the camera. There is the wrap. It belongs to this short row here. This stitch is the short rowed stitch, which belongs to this row down here. Now, in the contrasting colour, I'm just going to come across and knit across it and show you how to pick up the wrap. Now, we pick it up, put it onto the needle there. All right, so we pick up the wrap from the front and we knit them together. I knit them together through the back of the loop because it forces the wrap to sit towards the back. Now, the really cool thing about wrap and turn is that actually you can pick up the wrap in different ways and knit it together in different ways. That is a tutorial for another time. All right, I've got loads of tutorials planned, so I'm going to knit to the end really, really quickly and knit back, because what I want to do is I want to be able to show you, now that I've shown you how to pick up a wrap and turn and what it looks like, I'm going to undo it, show you how to repair it. Okay, I have now knitted back to this right-hand selvage with this as the right side of our work. In our contrasting colour, I'm going to work another short row with the wrap and turn method. And then we are going to undo it, unravel the wrap and turn, and have a look at how it's constructed. So I'm going to do K5 again. One, two, three, four, five. I'm going to slip this stitch purlwise over, bring the yarn forward, turn, slip it back, and knit towards the end. So we're putting them all in the same place here. That's all right. Your short rows could be anywhere. I am now going to, with the main yarn, knit across, because we want to get up close with that wrap and turn and see how it's constructed. So it has a loop that's attached to this row here. And because we're working in garter stitch, it's attached. This part is attached at the front. That part is attached. Whoop, there we go. That part is attached at the back. And that's the stitch that gets short rowed. That's the wrap. When we undo them, if you drop, wrap and turn, you can see the loop just kind of sits there like that. Okay. To repair a wrap and turn, you need to put that loop back around the base of that stitch. And all you need to do, this is literally all you do to repair a wrap turn, is to grab the stitch and overlay it just like that. Okay. So I'm now going to show you how to do a German short row quickly on another swatch. And then we're going to come back to these swatches and have a look at how we convert them into each other. Because I want to show you the German short row first, so you can actually have a look at that, and then we'll compare them. Okay, so this is the swatch that we're going to work our German short row on. We have a red hand-dyed yarn here, and we have a dark green to contrast against. So we're going to get straight in and do our K5 and then short row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now K5 short row means that for the German short row, we knit the 6th stitch, because then we turn that into our double leg stitch. I do have a longer tutorial available all about German short rows, so I'll add a link for that so you can have a look more closely. We're going to knit that. We're going to turn. Again, you can turn before or after you slip the short rowed stitch. It's entirely up to you. I do it. I slip afterwards so that this stitch doesn't get loose. So slip it over. And my pro tip is to anchor your needle into the next stitch before you pull that yarn really tight, because it makes a really nice tight German short row and maintains that nice tight tension. So I'm going to knit across. And there is our double leg stitch. Okay, so that's the double leg stitch, the stitch that's been short rowed. That's the equivalent of the stitch that was wrapped. This is the stitch that would disappeared when we pulled our yarn really tight. That's the equivalent to the wrap. That belongs to the short row. This belongs to the row that's underneath. So let's knit across now. And to knit across our German short row, we don't have to do any lifting or worrying about we're going to knit it together with the wrap or all that kind of stuff. The only thing that you need to do is to make sure that you knit between the disappeared stitch and the double leg stitch. You can see they intersect there, right? You just knit between them. So say I go into this into greater depth in my German short row tutorial, which I'll link. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to skip to the end, knit this and come back to this selvage over this side so I can show you how we undo a German short row and put it back together again, what it looks like when it's undone, because then once we've got that knowledge, we'll be able to convert them. So see you in a moment. Okay, we're now back to this selvage. I'm going to do another short row of K5 and put a short row here. And then we're going to look more closely at that German short row, how it's constructed and what it looks like when we take it apart. So let's knit 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to knit this stitch because this is going to be the one that we put our double leg on, which is the equivalent of the stitch that we wrap. We turn, we slip it, anchor the needle in there, make a nice tight double leg stitch by pulling that yarn really, really tight and disappearing the stitch that we made there in the green. That's got to disappear. I call it the disappeared stitch. I don't know if it has an official name. I just always called it the disappeared stitch because it is part of the German short row. It's not just the double leg. The other loop is important too, and I'm going to show you why. All right, so let's now knit across in the original color, and let's have a look at that German short row close up, and let's take it apart and see what it is. So this is the disappeared stitch. It's important. It's anchored at the front. This is the double leg stitch. Now, when I've got a tutorial for repairing a German short row, this kind of briefly cover the same thing. When I worked out how to repair a German short row, I took it apart. Now, when you're taking something apart, you start with the most obvious thing, right? The bit that's at the top, the thing that's easiest to do. And in this instance, is actually this front loop of the disappeared stitch. So what I did is I took it up, put it onto the needle to see what it looked like. And we can separate it out a little bit here. We can see that the front part of the loop that's anchored here actually sits at the back. Let's separate that out there slightly. You can see that. All right. So there's a twist that's occurred. So when we undo them, our loop looks like that, which, if you remember from the wrap and turn bit, looks really familiar, right? And that's the stitch that became the double leg stitch. So when we want to repair a German short row, because there was a slight twist in there, in that loop, we need to make sure it goes back in. And what we then need to do is suspend this stitch, the double leg stitch, over the disappeared stitch, because that's what we had before. I undid it. And then we pick up that front loop again. Whoop, come on, behave. You can pick it up from the front or the back, whichever is the easiest. And you put it back onto the needle and you have rebuilt the German short row. It's a little bit loose because I've been unpicking the stitches. Okay. But that's it. So let me take it apart again. Right. Put that up on the needle and it slips towards the back. There's that twist. There's the stitch that's double-legged. It's suspended over the loop. So let's take them apart. And if you do ever drop a short row, always catch that one first because that will unravel. This won't because it's very securely anchored in here. And there's the loop, which looks very much like the wrap and turn loop, right? The wrap of the turn. To be able to rebuild it, we have to put that twist back in. So we sit it that way around so that this is still anchored at the front, but it sits at the back of the needle. Put that over and then pick up this part here, put it back on the needle, and we have our German short row rebuilt. Yes, as I say, it's been undone, all drop stitches loose and intention, but That's what it's done. It's been rebuilt. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to bring the wrap and turn swatch back in, and we're going to take them both apart together and then turn them into each other. Okay, so now we have both swatches in front of us. This is the German short row swatch. This is the wrap and turn swatch. I'm going to undo both one at a time, lay them out with their stitch and their loop, and then compare them and then turn them into each other. It's fun. I love this bit. So with the wrap and turn, we're going to take that wrap off, catch that stitch because we don't want it unraveling, and look at that loop there. Let's bring it back into the center. Look at the way that loops. Attached at the front, anchored there, and anchored at the back. We can leave that loop sitting there like that because it's not going to come undone. It's part of that row. It's not going to come undone. Let's undo and drop our German short row. Catch that stitch. Whoop. And there is our loop from the German short row. Let's move that out of the way and see if we can see this a bit more clearly. Can you see that? It's exactly the same. That's cool. I love teaching this because people go, oh, didn't realize it's the same. Now, if it's the same, then it means that we can turn it into the other one. So this one was our German short row, but actually, you know, I think it should be a wrap and turn now. So I'm going to put it over there, grab it up, put it on, and ta-da, it is now a wrap and turn. Shall I do that again? Let's move that out of the way so you've got a paler background to see. Undo it. There's our loop. To repair a wrap and turn, we need to put the loop around the base of this stitch again. So put it over, grab that stitch through, put it onto the needle. And there you have what was a German short row is now a wrap and turn. So let's do the same bit of sorcery over here. There's the loop. That was our wrap. Now, if we remember from repairing a German short row, we need to put a little twist into this. So now, twist it one half stitch backwards. We then suspend this stitch over the loop, and then either from the front or the back, doesn't matter which way, as long as you pick up the front part of this leg here that's anchored at this point and pop it back onto the needle. And there, you've just made a German short row. So this was wrap and turn, and we've turned it into a German short row. This one was a German short row, and we've turned it into a wrap and turn. Isn't that cool? And you've just learned the trickery of converting a German short row to a wrap and turn and vice versa. It's cool. And I keep saying that, but it is really cool. Now, where might you use this? Well, you say, for instance, you are practicing a new short row method, and wrap and turn or German short rows is that new method to you. And you're working away and you're kind of like practicing your thing, and then you switch into autopilot and you go back to using your familiar method. Well, that's one place that you could use this. You, instead of ripping all your work out, you can just go back and change that short row into the other version, right? So, and it doesn't matter whether you're doing wrap and turn into German short row or German short row into wrap and turn, you can still do that. If you make a mistake and do the wrong short row, you can switch over. Another place might be when you're working short rows in the round. Now, when you're working short rows in the round, you have to do a bit of knitting and purling back and forth, especially in something like stocking stitch. And our tension is normally different for most knitters between knitting and purling. Now, when I do short rows in the round, I use different short row methods either side because of my own personal tension. And I find that one doesn't look as neat as the other. So if you're doing that and you've just worked a short row method and you go to work across it and you think, actually, I don't like that. That doesn't look neat enough. You can just undo those few stitches, change that short row over, and then work across and see how it looks. It's actually really, really handy to know that you can swap these out in situation and just kind of go, actually, that's not working for me. I don't like how that looks. And change it over to the other method. You just change that stitch over. It gives you power over your knitting. Gives you the option to change the short row after the fact, which I just think is just brilliant, as I keep saying. Um, I have many more tutorials planned on not just short rows and grafting, but all of the other things that I love to kind of talk about. If you would be so kind as to hit the like, subscribe, etc., and share this tutorial so that I can get my techniques out to more people, that would be very, very much appreciated. Thank you. Thanks for your time today. I hope you give this a try and have fun with it, and doing it for yourself and realizing that, yeah, you can actually do this, and realizing and seeing it happen in your hands is just like, it's the best feeling ever. So I want you to go and have fun with it and enjoy it. Okay, see you later.